right, good morning, everybody. It's good to see everybody this morning in Pownell, Vermont. What a beautiful day we have. I always love to say it's a beautiful day because we only get so many of them, so we take advantage of the ones we have. Oh, I love it, I love it, I love it. It's so nice outside. We should do it out there, but we can't right now, so we're going to have to do it in here. So I'll try to make it quicker this morning so we can all get out and enjoy the weather today. I think it's supposed to be above 50, which is awesome. Awesome, great. So glad you guys have chosen to make us a part of your day, though. We're a hope that you're going to have a great time this morning as we go through the stuff we got to get to today. The question, we always start off with a question. I always want to see if you're engaged and want to get you engaged. And so we have a question we're going to discuss today, and this is for you to think on. We'll answer it in a few minutes. But it's about memory. So what was your favorite place, or what is your favorite place, either one, to spend the holidays? All right, so Thanksgiving, Christmas, or whatever, we all have these traditions. I was telling John and a couple other people earlier that we usually would go to Florida for Thanksgiving, and it was always great because it was such warm weather, and there was people wearing shorts and drinking water, and it was just beautiful. It was always a great time. But I have to be here now, which is fine too. I appreciate the things that we have here. So we all have favorite places to spend the holidays. So I want to encourage you to think through what was your favorite place, or what is it now if you have a tradition other than the year we have COVID, right? So typically when you have a traditional experience. So think about that, and we'll come back to that in just a minute. All right, so a couple of quick things as you're thinking about that I need to cover. And one is, if you're new here, or this first or second time, I want to thank you so much. Whether you're joining us online on Facebook or YouTube, or whether you're in-house for the first time, I want to thank you for being here, for being a part of this experience. We want to make sure you feel warmed and welcome. Normally we give big hugs and handshakes. We can't do all that, but I'll give you a big socially distanced hug right here. You can just imagine it happening, all right? So thank you so much for making us a part of your Sunday morning. As we're in here together, we always want us to make sure we're following COVID policy. We've been doing this for a couple of weeks now. We have contact tracing, so make sure if you haven't checked in this week with Miss Jen in the back, she is going to make sure she has your information just in case somebody actually contracts COVID. We pray that doesn't happen, but if it does, we have a way to get up with everybody, so I encourage you to make sure you check with her today before you get out of here, all right? Awesome. Okay, so a couple of other things that are coming up. One is Christmas. Everybody know Christmas is coming? You're pretty on the radar, right, on the calendar? Yeah, it definitely is, whether you want it to or not. So this year with COVID restrictions, we're doing things a little bit differently. Normally we have a Sunday night play with the kids, and it's a big production, and it's fun. I love doing it every year. Normally we incorporate some kind of candlelight into the process because that's always neat. But this year we're modifying things, and so instead of Sunday night, we're going to do it on Sunday morning. All right, so Sunday morning of the 20th, December 20th, we're going to have our annual play. We're going to have the kiddos in here, and they're going to have a great time. We're going to have them doing the traditional play just on the morning instead of night, and we're going to have a great time together doing it. So I want to encourage you to invite your friends, your family. We'll try to, again, spread out. We'll put chairs in the cafe if we have to, whatever we have to do to spread everybody out so the kids can get up here and to do this. We're reimagining it a little bit this year. Miss Jan is helping me, and a lot of other people have already started contributing ideas, because we're not just doing Christmas as it normally happens. We're doing Christmas in Pownell this year, all right? So it's what if Jesus was born in Pownell, Vermont, is kind of the theme and idea. And so I'm curious to see how it's going to turn out. I don't even have all the details of how that's going to pan out. So if you have an idea, make sure you tell Miss Jan and say, hey, I think if Jesus was born in Pownell, the story would look like X, Y, and Z, right? So I encourage you to find her if you have any just flashes of inspiration, right? As we get ready to do that Sunday, December 20th on the morning of, okay? Now, since we're moving that to the morning, we have something different for that night. So normally that's when we do the play, but we're not going to do the play. So we're going to do something extra special, really. It's a very low-key, totally not mandatory, by the way, very socially, physically distanced outdoor caroling event, okay? We're not going to anybody's house, right? We're not going to go up and breathe on people's front lawns. That's kind of rude these days, so we're not going to do that. But if you would like to come and sing Christmas songs with us, all right? We're going to be out on the church front lawn. We're going to be spread way out. We're going to give everybody sheets of paper that have the songs we like to sing. It would be ones that you know, hopefully. If you don't, we'll pick it up as we go along. I want to encourage you to come, but don't feel obligated in any way to come. So if you have a chance to pop by, it's going to be Sunday night, December 20th at 5 p.m., okay? Sunday night, December 20th, 5 p.m. If you want to stop by, great. If you want to stop by for 5 minutes, sing one song, say, hey, Merry Christmas, and then jet home, great. If you want to stay for, 30 minutes, great. We're gonna go and we're gonna sing. Hopefully we're gonna sing our butts off before they freeze off, right? So it's gonna be pretty cold. I'm figuring if it all pans out, and so we're gonna be out there having a great time together, even if we are gonna be popsicles by the time we're done. Okay. So I want to encourage you, if you would like to come, that do so at 5 o'clock that night, December 20th, as we sing together, celebrating Christmas together that night. All right. All right. Awesome. I can tell you're all excited about that, so I'm looking forward to seeing everybody who shows up. Right? Awesome. So now let's go into the other thing we always do, which is giving, right? Especially this time of year, you're being plugged for thousands of things, right? So what's one more? No, I'm just joking, right? So we want to always promote, always promote who we are at Faith Church, and that's being generous, especially this time of year. We have a lot of ways to do that. One is our traditional giving. So if you're here and want to give towards Faith Church and all the things that we do, whether it be Sunday morning or outreach missions programs that we put on, whatever it is, I encourage you to do that. You can do it simply by going to faithchurchvt.com, and you'll see a little give button. Just press that, and it'll take you to a page. Super simple. If you're here this morning and would like to give, there's baskets to my right and left, and then in the back and in the cafe as well. For traditional giving, just drop it in anytime today. That'd be great. And so I greatly appreciate that. For those in need, we also want to say, hey, if you need anything, please let us know. Please let us know. Especially this time of year, we know it's tough. All right? With more COVID restrictions in place, with work outages happening because of COVID, all these different things swirling around, Christmas is even crazier than normal. So if you're in need, please let us know. All right? Just call us at 802-823-7828, or you can contact us on our Facebook page at Faith Church VT, or get on our website, faithchurchvt.com, and you'll see ways to get a hold of us. So please don't wait. We would love to be able to help you out in any way, all right? So all the giving that we give is going to go towards funneling it to people in need this Christmas season. So I want to encourage that. One other last thing that we give to that it really goes to people in need is Operation Christmas Child. This is the last week we're going to do this, all right? Last week we're going to promote it. So we want to make sure that you know it's available. It's all online this year. So normally we bring the items and we come together and we have a big packing party, and it's great, and we get to celebrate sending all these gifts off to children all over the world. This year is a bit different, as everything is, and so we are doing them all online. For $31 per box, you can bless a child with a Christmas gift this year of not just one, it'll be multiple gifts in a shoebox. It's a beautiful, easy experience that I want to encourage everybody to jump in on this week, all right? So make sure you get on there this week and get that done, all right? So it's easy to follow. You can look on our Facebook page, and you'll see a link. If you don't have Facebook, text me or text the church or call me. I will make sure you get a link to be able to get to that information. If you can't get online or not online savvy, that's okay too. If you like to give towards Operation Christmas Child, just either mark it on your check if you do checks, or put it in an envelope and mark OPC, and it'll go into the church, and we will buy you a box too, okay? So we want to make it as easy as possible. $31 is for one gift, so you can give as many as you would like. We encourage that. We're trying to get as many as we can this year to children all around the world, and I thank you so much for all you've done so far. I think we're almost up to 30 so far, so thank you for blessing children around the world this year. One other thing I don't have a slide for, I don't have any information on other than my voice here, is that we're going to do something extra special for our community, as we always try to do. So OPC is something we do for around the world. This year we're focusing also on our community, and with COVID being such a powerful force as it moves through our elderly in our community, we want to bless them in any way we can, and one of the ways is by helping Williamstown Commons. If you have ever been there or been through there or been by there, maybe you know someone who's in that facility, maybe you know some wonderful people there. We're going to adopt Williamstown Commons this year as Faith Church, okay? And so I've got somebody, maybe you know her, Tina. She works there. She's been here to church before she took on the cleaning there at Williamstown Commons. She's going to help get us info about what they need, about how many things they need, whether it be blankets or socks or whatever. We're going to have the kids write cards. We're going to do whatever we can to rally around these people who are are valued and cherished in the eyes of God just as much as anybody else. And often they're forgotten, especially this time of year. And we want to encourage them and bless them, and we're going to do it in any way we can. So I want to encourage you to think through ways that maybe we can do that. We're looking at socks, we're looking at blankets, we're looking at cards. But if you think of any other way, let me know, all right? We're going to partner with them in whatever way we can to just bless those individuals in that home and just to show them the love of Jesus, right? So that's what our goal and mission is. And so that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do this year. I can't wait to see how it comes out. All right. So after you heard me rambling all that, let's hear it from you. What is your or was your favorite place to spend the holidays? Anybody want to jump out first? Yes, ma'am. Grandma Johnson's. All right. Why Grandma Johnson's? She's the sweetest grandma. I don't know. I got a pretty sweet grandma. I mean, sure. Awesome. Yeah. Nice. Awesome. Grandma Johnson's. All right. Anybody else? Where's your is or was your favorite place to spend the holidays? Yes, ma'am. All right. Yeah. Any one thing that made it extra special? Like, oh, I'm really looking forward to that part of the time together? Lots of people. Yeah. Nice and hot. Did it get warm in there? Yeah. All right. Nice. Lots of family, good time together. Anybody else? Is or was your favorite place to spend the holidays? Go Rich, and then we'll go to Miss Alice. Go back to front. All right, grandkids, your daughter's home. Nice. Is that a every holiday thing or just Thanksgiving, Christmas, or one or the other? Christmas. All right, nice. All right, Miss Alice.
Well, my grandparents on Christmas Eve,
Mm-hmm.
we lived across the river from my parents' home.
Mm-hmm.
They would pretend that Santa would come and
Is that right?
would go over.
Nice.
I have been there
Ah, gotcha.
to our house, so yeah.
Very
between
cool.
My grandparents and my parents.
Nice. Parents and grandparents. Ah, love the little traditions that get built into families. It's so special. Anybody else? Those are all good. All great stuff. Make sure if you have any online, you post those too and comment together. Again, mine was Florida. I did some in Georgia. My family was split, so I went to Georgia one year and stayed in Florida, or went to Florida the next. And it was always great because we had it outside, and then we could go for like a 1.5 mile long walk after, so you never felt like you were just overstuffed. You got plenty of activity and it'll stretch out. And like I said, it was always warm, so it didn't feel like Thanksgiving in a traditional sense, which was okay for me as a kid growing up. I much prefer being out running around or walking or playing outside than being stuck in a house having to listen to adults talk for hours on end. And so I much appreciated that. But that's okay if you prefer that. That's all right. What I love about Thanksgiving, what I love about Christmas, what I love about all these things is the great memories we build, right? The great experiences that we have, the things we carry with us. Even this year, I was looking back on Facebook and saw the photos from them as they were sitting around a fire and even sitting around that dinner table and thinking, man, I remember all those times I had when I was there, right? And it's so crazy to think about how those things shape you, right? And how shaped who you are and what you become. So here we are. I hope your Thanksgiving was good. Everybody had a good Thanksgiving? Right? Good? Pretty good? All right. I know it's probably a little different, and that's okay, right? The first Sunday after Thanksgiving here in COVID year, and I'm glad it was all good. And for many, this is the kickoff, right? That's holiday season. We're in it, full swing. Maybe you've already started shopping. Anybody shopping Black Friday? Anybody go out this year? Leo went out this year? Just one? All right. Well, okay. I hope you bought enough for everybody, Leo. All right. You went online? Okay. That's good, right? All right, so maybe you've been doing that. Whatever it is, it's all downhill from here as soon as you get past Thanksgiving. We're going to blink, and Christmas is just going to be here. That's just how fast it's going to go and come. It's just going to be just like that. But even though it's rushed, and even though it's crazy, and even though it's filled with all sorts of just emotions and memories, it's still a special time of year, isn't it? And the cooler weather normally usually forces us inside a bit more. The fireplace, if you have one, or the heater calls you kind of in closer to kind of sit a little around it, and it all kind of works together to provide this perfect little excuse to have hot chocolate, which anything that forces me or encourages me to have chocolate is a great thing, all right? I love chocolate in all its forms, and so I appreciate that part about this season. And we're going to spend, and maybe you already have, weeks listening to Christmas songs and watching Christmas movies, maybe Hallmark or whatever you watch, that are all about hope, right? And all about love and all about joy and peace and all these great things. You know, maybe except the movie Die Hard, but that's okay. That's a Christmas movie. That's right, Brian. You're absolutely correct. That totally counts, even though it's not about peace, love, hope, and joy, maybe. But it doesn't matter. It's still a Christmas movie. And all those great and wonderful things, right? We think about the memories, think about the emotions, the wonders of the holiday season. But it does bring back more than just positive things, doesn't it? Because memories can be emotionally conflicting, can't they? They can be. They can be. My family and I began to practice a few years back of collecting ornaments for our Christmas tree, right? So every time we go on a vacation or something, we try to get a little ornament that reminded us of it. We got a little St. Louis arch and, a few other things I can't remember off the top of my head. We got all these little things that remind us of the trip. We always would get a little ornament for one of the kids. So if we had a new birth, we'd find a little ornament that reminded us of them. One time we had a little Superman onesie on a little hanger or something, all these cute little things to remind us that we had this new addition or had this new experience. And every year that we bring them out, it reminds us of that experience, of that trip, of that new addition, whatever it is. Every year we pull them out one by one, they get unwrapped, the memories kind of get unwrapped with them. You ever have that experience? It might not be ornaments, but it might be something else, some decoration you've had for a while, or some picture you just bring out, I remember that moment, right? Memories are funny things. They're kind of like strands of light all tangled together, aren't they? Running along the strands are both the good, the bright, the beautiful bulbs that still work even after all these years, even that really reliable strand of lights, right? And then right alongside, tangled up with them, is these ones that are a little sad, right? They're maybe on the edge of burning out, and ones that are burnt out, ones that are dark now. And unless you're really good at it, you really sometimes just can't untangle it. Sometimes it's all just knotted up, and it's just impossible. They're going to be stuck together forever. For every ornament hung, every chair placed around the table, there's great beauty and there's great sadness. There's an appreciation for the ones that we have in our lives now, and there's an annual reminder of the ones that are gone, aren't they? We're going to spend the next few weeks addressing the more cheery side of Christmas. So we got that to look forward to. But this week, we're going to spend a few minutes on the more somber reality that this season brings. The more painful memories, whether new or old. The ones of separation, of broken relationships, of death, those things that are sometimes a little forced underground this time of year. Everybody's smiling, everybody's having a great time, and it just seems like, I need to go along with the flow, but in the inside, you're really hurting. In the inside, you're really hurting. We're told not to linger on the bad, to focus on the good. We're told not to dwell on the past, right? Focus on the future. And while those platitudes are well-intentioned, they push us past the pain and sometimes can deny us the opportunity to really begin to heal. Many of us at this point of year have grieved over something or someone, probably alone, right? And instead of dealing with it constructively, we just pull up our bootstraps, right? We put on a brave face. We smile. We sing the happy songs. But left by itself, the pain doesn't go away. Unresolved grief can turn to anger, right? It can turn to regret. It can turn to bitterness. It can eventually lead to depression. And psychologists will tell you that the best result you could hope for in resolving grief, you ever seen those stages of grief, right? The best result you could hope for is acceptance. Life, pain, death, it's all natural, right? These things happen. But looking at our world through the lens of the Bible, we see that death, separation, broken relationships aren't just another part of life, right? They're a daily reminder that something isn't right in this world. We can spend years on therapy, and maybe you have, and you might, maybe get to the point of acceptance. Or we can try another way. A thing the Bible calls lament. Now, biblical lament, that's not word we don't really use, all right? So when I say a lament, you're like, what in the world is that? Who uses that? Nobody's used that since like the 19th century. Lament is an expression of our guilt, an expression of our regret, our grief, our sorrow that takes us through the pain to the one who can heal it. It's a powerful process that we often overlook, especially for those of us who believe in Jesus, right? We talk about every Sunday we gather here, one of our values, somewhere down there is on that wall, celebration, right? So every Sunday we come together as a celebration of our risen Lord who's conquered death, hell, and the grave, and how we have that wonderful promise and hope in us, especially this time of year that remember his birth, how that kicks off that process. And so we look at a thing like lament, we think of, I have to work through my grief and my sorrow and my pain, and that seems counter to all that we're told to believe. To sit in our grief, our lament, seems to run counter to what we're told we're supposed to do, but in reality it's not. In reality it's not. It's actually a practice that's needed, and it's one that believers have engaged in for thousands of years. As a matter of fact, the Psalms, which are considered the songbook for God's chosen people, 1/3 of those 150 songs in that book, 1/3 of those are laments, are what we call sad songs or minor key songs. My wife hates minor key songs, right? She wants to be happy. She wants to be lifted up all the time. She says, I don't like singing or hearing or anything in the minor key, right? I love them. I love them. I always have. It's something eerily calling to something that's sad in a sense, because I think deep down we've all experienced that, and we all sometimes want to reflect on that deeper. And so we have 1/3 of those 150 songs that are considered sad. So why would a people who believed that God could do anything sing so many sad songs? It's because they knew that a lament was the space that we all need to be in between brokenness and God's mercy. It was a transition from pain to promise, from heartbreak to hope. So what does that look like? And how can we do it and put it into practice in our own lives? To find out, we're going to look at Psalm 13. So if you have a Bible or a physical one, I encourage you to open up. If you have an app on your phone, I encourage you to find it there. If you're online, it's going to be on your screen at the bottom third. If you're here, it's going to be right above my head, as we're going to look at all 6 verses of Psalm 13 and kind of break down what a biblical lament looks like and how we can use it to move through the grief, to move through the sorrow, and towards healing. So let's look at Psalm 13:1 together as we read together this verse where the writer says, to the choir master, meaning the one who's putting together this music, right? A psalm of David. He says these words. That may sound familiar to some of you. How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? Anyone here ever prayed a prayer like that? Anyone ever cried out in a moment of pain like that? How long have you forgotten me? Why are you hiding? I love the opening line because it's raw. It's honest, it's real, it's an emotional gut punch when you hear those words. And we don't know the exact situation, but we understand the emotion, don't we? That person writing this is in pain. And in the midst of it, he's reaching out to God for answers. He feels alone, he feels abandoned, he feels forgotten. He feels like God isn't just ignoring him, but even actively moving away from him. We see that lamenting begins by this honest expression, this feeling of vulnerability, this directing of raw emotion to the God who we think should care. See, the first step in a biblical lament is to turn to God. Now, it seems an obvious first step for many of us, but it's important to note because there are many of us who have begun a prayer like this and said, how long? Have you forgotten me? Are you hidden? What's going on? We start in this prayer, and then over time we stop because we feel as though we haven't been heard, and that painful prayer starts to become silent despair. We resign ourselves to believing that God doesn't care or he doesn't hear and nothing's ever going to change. So our painful prayer stops. We give up. And that silence becomes a soul killer. You see, lament, a biblical lament, is a path towards restoration. It takes faith first. It's the song you sing believing that one day God will answer. He will. And that's only possible when you believe that God is truly good, that His Word is true, that you've read and looked in the Bible and seen that He is a good, loving, caring Father who does see in your pain, right? A lament is recognizing that while it seems like He's gone, while it seems like He's turned away, while we're still in the middle of this pain, it's a reminder of what we know to ultimately be true. That there is a God who hears us, who knows us, who loved us enough to die in our place and is present in our struggle. When grief begins to overtake us, lamenting chooses to talk to God about it and not keep it in. Not keep it in. That's the first step, turning to God. The second is to bring your complaint. Let's look at Psalm 13, verse 2, where the writer continues here. Where he just said, how long will you hide your face from me? He continues in verse 2. He says, how long must I take counsel in my soul and have sorrow in my heart all the day? How long shall my enemy be exalted over me? Once we've cried out, choosing to take our case to God, the next step is to identify and bring your complaint forward. Now, complaining isn't a very positive word, right? It's something I actively discourage in my home because my kids do it way too often. I just tell them to hush. If they got a complaint, take it to somebody who cares, because I don't. You need to resolve it on your own time, right? But is complaining always wrong? No. Not always. The Bible's full of complaints, right? Again, I encourage you to read it for a multitude of reasons, but read it through and see how many times people complain in the Bible. Page after page, you'll see expressions of fear, of doubt, of frustration, of confusion. Complaining is biblical. It's also helpful. Complaints clarify. Laying out a specific case for the thing that has hurt us, even if we feel that thing is God, sharpens our prayer. It helps us to see our situation more clearly. Now, I don't want us to confuse things here. I don't mean we have permission to vent in just self-centered rage at God because things aren't going great and you're just a mean, angry person and I don't like you. That's not what I'm talking about. Nor am I talking about walking all day, just around in your life and whining these petty prayers of like, oh, my day is going so bad, I don't like it. And just complain all that. That's the kind of complaint I can't stand, by the way. Anyway, my kids do it a lot. I try to discourage that. But in moments of pain, in moments of grief, in moments of sorrow, complaining is okay. And it's necessary to humbly lay out your complaint before God, just like we just read here, right? How long must I take counsel in my soul and have sorrow in my heart? How long shall my enemy be exalted over me, right? He's feeling oppressed. He's feeling like there's nobody around but him. Why does he have to carry this around all the time? That's his complaint. Why does he have to feel this way? Why does it feel like everybody's always on his case? Why does it feel like he can't find any way out? Where are you? What are you doing? Why have you left me here? He's angry. He's complaining. What are you doing? The key here, though, while complaining is a good thing, and I want to encourage you to do it more often, at least again when it's humble, and say, I don't know. Why are you doing this? I want to encourage you to do that, but I encourage you not to get stuck. Don't get stuck there. Because we can. You can't get to the moment where you're saying, how long? Why is all this stuff happening to me? And you just repeat that prayer over and over and over again, and you don't get anywhere. And that's not the point of lament. Right? That's just anger and rage and this bitterness that you've built up, right? And you might have to work through a little bit of that, but a biblical lament takes you from that complaint stage and takes you to the next step, which is to asking boldly. So let's look at chapter 13, verse 3 and 4, as he moves to the next phase right here. Verse 3 says, consider and answer me, O Lord my God. Light up my eyes, lest I sleep the sleep of death. Lest my enemies say, I've prevailed over him. Lest my foes rejoice because I am shaken. The songwriter here is staking his claim on what God has promised to do because of who God is. He says, consider and answer me. That's a demand, right? That's not saying, hey, if you can think about it when you have a moment, will you please give me an answer whenever you're ready to give it? That's no. He said, answer me. Answer me. Oh, Lord. I love what he uses here, and it's exactly why he puts it here. Lord isn't just a title, it's a name, right? Every time you see the Lord capitalized, I'm not sure if it's capitalized on your screen or here, but in the Bible it is. When you see Lord, all caps, it's actually God's name that he gives Moses right before he rescues the people from Egypt. It is Yahweh. It is the great I am. The songwriter is reminding himself of who God is. The name that God gave to Moses before he brought them out of slavery, right? The great I am. The name that parted the seas and led them through. The name that thundered from the mountaintop in the wilderness and delivered them to the land of promise. The great I am. How long, O Lord? Answer me, I am. You said that's who you are. Are you that now? How long will you sit on the sidelines? How long will my foes rejoice over me? Will I die or will you rescue me? Who are you? Or you are who you say you are. The writer moves from complaint to request. He does it boldly because the reality of who God is, I am, overshadows his circumstance. We need to pay attention here, though. Who God is doesn't remove the situation. It doesn't even promise immediate change. But it calls us back. It calls us back to a confidence in the character of the God who saves, right? Instead of camping in our complaint, we should be boldly asking for God to act, asking him for his grace, his mercy, his provision in time of need, because that's what he promises he will do. He doesn't say when, but he will. He will. Israel stayed in Egypt for 400 years before he acted. But he will act. He is who he says he is. He does not change. He is I am. Lament invites us to dare to hope in God's promises as we ask for his help. And that leads us to the last step, choosing to trust. Let's look at verse 5 and 6. But I have trusted, the writer says, in your steadfast love. But I have trusted in your steadfast love. My heart shall rejoice in your salvation. I will sing to the Lord because he has dealt bountifully with me. Notice the transition. Where do you start out with? How long, O Lord, right? Will you answer me? Are you hiding from me? What's going on? And now he's here at the moment at the very end saying, I'm going to sing because I know the great I am will work. He will move. He will not leave me forsaken. He has, and will continue to deal bountifully with me, even when my circumstances feel like he won't. And it all starts with a shift here on a word that you need to recognize in the Bible is one of the most powerful words of all. And that's but. Anytime you see the word but, or yet, or therefore, pay attention. Because that means something's about to change in the story. Something's about to change in this moment, in this song, right? That word calls us to shift our thinking from the cause of our pain to a trust in the one who can heal it. And trust in a biblical sense is believing what you know to be true, even though the facts of suffering might call that belief into question. Just as it takes faith to turn to God when grief strikes, it takes it again to trust in his love when circumstances are hard. But when you do reclaim that trust, what's sure to follow is a song. Mark Vroegop wrote, pain can become a platform for worship. Songs of sorrow are meant to move us from complaint to confidence in God. And that's where lament is designed to lead us. Through turning to God in prayer, laying out humble complaints, and asking boldly for his help, we are led to a place of trust in God, knowing that he hears us, he loves us, and he cares for us. So as we move through this holiday season and you bring out ornaments and you set them on the tree, as you sit around the table and you look at that empty chair from the one who has moved away or passed away, whatever the case is, don't run. Don't hide. Don't put on a smiley face and turn on a happy song and think it'll just all go away. Bring your complaint. Ask boldly and choose to trust in the God that is still here, even through the moments of sorrow. For seekers this morning, for those of you who might not have a relationship with God, it takes a choice. It begins with a choice. You're never going to get to do a biblical lament until you choose to trust in the God that cares and loves you. You can never get to this process. You can go through psychological steps of grief and you can get to acceptance. I'm not good with acceptance. I'm not good with that at all. Because I know there's a better way forward. So if you're stuck in this stages of grief and sorrow and pain and you don't have a relationship with the God who sees, knows, loves, and cares for you, this is the moment that changes. Christmas is about birth. It's about the birth of the Savior that loves all of us. God himself stepping down in a human form, taking on our pain, our struggle, our guilt, our sorrow, being born into a dirty stable to an unwed teenage mom, taking on who we are, taking on all our guilt and shame. And one day it led him to a cross where he died for each and every single one of us. And that love, when we encounter that, we encounter the cross and see the resurrection that we celebrate on Easter, but we really celebrate it every Sunday when we see that God loved us enough not only to die for us, but to rise again, to give us life when we're dead, when we're the walking dead. He says, now you're alive. When you have a God that loves and knows and cares enough to die for you and give you that life, then you can come to him in pain and say, I know you're going to care for me. I know that it seems like you're not here, but I know that you really are. I know that I know that I know. Because of the relationship, not because of religion. And so if that's you this morning, and you're ready to begin that relationship with the God that loves and cares for you, you want to place all your hope in him, we're going to give you an opportunity to do that in just a minute. If you're not ready to do that yet, we've all been there. That's okay. Faith is a journey, right? Maybe you're stuck in a grief pattern. Maybe you're stuck in a pattern of sorrow or whatever it is, and you're not ready to step into the biblical lament yet. But keep coming here. Physically, online, whatever it is, keep connecting with those who are biblically lamenting, who can help show you that process, at least model it for you. We all hurt. How do you deal with a hurt? That's what separates us. That's what separates us. I encourage you to keep bringing yourself into the process and watching it as it happens. For believers, we should be on day 42, by the way, of 90 of reading Ephesians chapter 4, verses 22 through 24. So if you kind of, again, every week I say this because I do it every week. If you fell off the wagon this week at any point, go back to that, even just for a couple of days this week. Ephesians 4, 22 through 24, declaring you're that new human that we talked about, taking off the old and putting on the new. Don't neglect that. That's going to help you through this lamenting process as well, right? Restoring your faith there. So I want to make sure you do that. Also, as we're working through lament together, I want to make it very, very practical, all right? I just don't want to give this thing to you, and maybe you can go back and watch it, that's great, but I want you to actually do it, all right? So in the back, behind Rich and Kathy, next to Walt, back there is some papers, all right? And one of them is a worksheet, and don't get scared off by that term if you hate school, all right? It's just a paper with some words on it that you can fill out on your own time. And another is a sample lament. It's a sample lament. It's going to take you and give you the biblical process. It's going to take you through a psalm that describes it just like we did today, and it's going to even put words in modern day words, like something you would say on the right-hand column. So it's going to show you how this looks. So I want to encourage you, if you're working through, especially this time of year, if you're working through grief, if you're working through pain, if you're hurting this morning, one, know that it's okay, all right? It's okay. I'm not going to tell you that, hey, it's Christmas, cheer up, right? Let's have hope, love, peace, and joy. We're going to get to that. We're going to celebrate those things, but don't go past the moment. Don't rush past this. lean into it, and turn to God in it. And so I want to encourage you, one, that it's okay. If you want help walking through that, I'm here. I want to walk through that with you. But if you want to, I encourage you to do that on your own. Check out the worksheets in the back, and they will help guide you through that process as well. If you're online and you want those, I can get those to you virtually or on a PDF. I'll get them to you somehow, some way. So if you're like, hey, I need that, shoot us a link on Facebook. I will make sure that gets to you, okay? All right, so make sure you grab them before you go. If you would like that resource, it's there for you. I'd love for you to use it. The last thing I'll recommend is a book, which is called Dark Clouds, Deep Mercy by Mark Vrogop, who I referenced one time during this message, and it's an awesome resource. It's where I got the worksheet, as a matter of fact, but it takes you through the process of lament, why it's important, how to do it, and some powerful stories in here. It's about so many things, so I won't ruin it for you, but one of them is about a paraplegic who was angry at God and had to sort through this process of lament, and it got him back to his faith in Jesus. Also for Mark himself, who had lost several children, his wife had in utero, and so several stillborn babies, and so they worked through that process. So it's people in real pain, real hurt. How do we work through this biblically and get to a true place of healing and not just acceptance? All right, so I want to encourage you to read that. It's on Amazon. If you would like to have this copy, I can more than willing to give it to you. So if you would like me to buy you one, I'll buy you a copy, whatever it takes for you to take this home today or whenever you want. All right. So those are there. Let's take a moment to pray as we wrap up this morning. Dear Heavenly Father, God, we thank you. We thank you, God, that you understand our grief, that you stepped into it. Lord, that on the cross you cried out in pain, not only from the physical pain, but from the emotional pain of taking on all of our mess. You understand that. You understand our sorrow, and you went through it so you could rescue us. God, we praise you for your sacrifice, because it wasn't just a one-time thing, God, for a one-time moment. It's for us right here, right now in this space. So Lord, I pray for those who may be looking to turn to you right now, who may be thinking about, I need to make this decision to follow the God who died for me, who loves me enough to die for me. God, if they're thinking about this right now, and if you're thinking about it right now as you're listening to me, say this prayer with me. Dear Lord, I'm sorry. I'm hurting. I'm in pain. And I've tried to work through it on my own, and I keep just cycling back and never can seem to break free. And I need release. I need you. Help me to follow you. Help me to put into practice your life in my life, to experience your love and to give it to others. If that's you this morning, you respond to that way, we're going to give you a chance to raise your hand. Matter of fact, we'll do it right now. If you're online, you can flag a post, like or love the post we're going to post. If you're in house and you respond to that prayer today, if you prayed that for the first time, I want to encourage you to lift your hand up. I'm not going to call you out. I just want to invite you in to the family to show you what happens next. Again, like or love it online if you're there. For those of us in-house who are believers and online believers, Lord, we praise you that you don't leave us, that you don't forsake us, that you entered into our pain, not so that you could do it just one time, but every time we're in pain, that you were going to be present with us. So God, I pray that we enter into this moment, this time, if we're in hurting or if we're grieving or if we're in sorrow over something this year, if somebody we've missed, somebody that's passed away, somebody that we've separated from, that God has torn us apart. Lord, we know that that is something that's wrong in this world, but we know the thing that is right is outside this world, that is you, God, and that you promised to heal us, that you promised to give us a life fulfilled, that you promised to walk through the valley with us, Jesus. So I pray in this moment, God, that we feel your presence, that God, that we can be reassured that you are the God that is present with us, that you are Emmanuel. God, let us live in that presence this week. Today, as we take home and look through how to lament together, God, let us take our complaints to you. Let us ask boldly, knowing you are faithful to answer, to hold true to the thing we know to be true, even when our circumstances say it's not. Let us renew our faith and our trust in you as we see you work mighty things in our lives through our pain this morning. in this Christmas season. Lord, we thank you, we praise you, we love you, and we do it all in Jesus' name. Amen and amen. All right, everybody. Here we go. For those online, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it so much for you taking time. Look forward to next week when you see us Sunday at 10 a.m. as we get ready to jump into the more cheery side of Christmas, right? So if you need something a little more upbeat, there's your time. We're going to have that. But take this time this morning to lament as well, to work through these processes together. And if you need any help, reach out to us. We'd love to work through that with you, okay? So we'll see you guys next time.